This is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Today we got a pretty exciting one. We're going to talk about honing a straight razor made in Pakistan. This one has two Goldman special quality stamped or etched on the side of the blade. Okay, so this razor right here is kind of special. It's a good friend of mine's father's straight razor. And he brought it over to the shop. He came over to make some knives and, said, hey, let's play around with this a little bit. So I thought, okay, while he's forging a knife, I'll go ahead and hone the thing up. And then that way he gets to shave with his dad's straight razor, which, no two ways about it, that's going to be cool. Well, so I go to hone the thing, right? Now, this being not my razor and it having some sentimental value, I went ahead and put a strip of tape on the spine. Grabbed the King 1/6 stone and started going to town on the 1000 grit side to go ahead and clean it up and get it honed up. Figuring that it would take me, 10-15 minutes, somewhere around there. Now, I remember noticing when I was looking at the edge that it had two distinct bevels. And, not knowing the history of the razor, my buddy's dad passed away, I think he said almost about 30 years ago or so. And, folks that aren't straight razor people have a tendency to go, oh, I need something sharp to cut something. That's a straight razor. It's going to be sharp. We'll use a straight razor to cut rope or cardboard or whatever, right? So you never know what the history of that last edge was from the time that his father shaved with it last to the time that, it showed up at my shop. But there's not really a whole lot of spine wear. I mean, there is some, but not a lot. And there's most of the width of the blade looks like it's even from heel to toe. So it's not one of those that looks to me like it's spent a whole lot of time on a stone. So having those two distinct edge bevels, I mean, you could see it. There was one about where this one is, and then there was another one that was quite a bit of a steeper angle. And I saw that and I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe he was freehand honing it. And I thought, well, okay, we'll just go ahead and set it back, to factory, one layer of tape on the spine, and then, hone it until it's good to go and trust to the factory's geometry. So I worked on the thing for about 30 minutes, and boy, it was, these Pakistan cutlery, in my experience, most of it is made out of very soft stainless steel. And soft stainless steel has a tendency to be kind of gummy on the stone. When you do get a burr, the burr tends to really hang on. I mean, like really hang on. It doesn't really want to come off and doesn't want to come off very cleanly. So when you're honing soft stainless steel, you just have to bear that in mind. So anyway, so it took me quite a while to go ahead and get a burr on both sides and get it all cleaned up. I got it all cleaned up on the 1000 grit, moved to a 6000 grit, cleaned up the 1000 grit hone marks, went ahead and stropped it right quick on the shop strop, and then went in the bathroom, wet my face real quick, and just did, just see if it would take hair. Well, I felt it grab a couple of hairs and then just go dull. And I thought, well, that's really kind of weird. Maybe I, left a burr on there. So I go back, cleaned it back up, went ahead and stropped it again, checked it up underneath the scope, and the same dang thing happened. Come back underneath the scope, and I looked straight down at the edge, and you could see that edge was dulled pretty much centered right straight down, like that edge had just been pushed back into the body of the blade. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, that must be really soft steel. So threw on a couple extra layers of tape. I think I had a total of 4 at that time. So when you add tape to the spine, it adds width, which increases your edge angle, right? Which if your edge angle is too narrow, the steel can't support it, and by thickening up that edge, you create a stronger edge, right? So I think I was at 4 layers of tape. Went ahead, honed it on the 6,000, or touched it up on the 6K, stropped it with Crocs, then linen, then leather, went back, tested it again, and it did a little bit better, but that edge still failed almost immediately. Came back and said, well, heck, the next day I went ahead and did it again, and I thought, well, okay. So I went ahead and I added 8 layers of tape, which is a lot of frickin' tape. I mean, 8 layers of electrical tape. That's I should have kept the piece of it, but it's a considerable width difference, right? Went ahead and again hit the 6K stone, cleaned it up best I could. Went ahead and put it on a 12K nanowad just to give it every possible chance I could. Then when I went to strop it this morning before I shaved with it, so the tension that you put on your strop creates that final edge geometry on your shaving edge, right? So if you were to use a hard strop, piece of leather attached to a piece of wood, it would have just the give that's in the leather, all right? So it wouldn't change your edge angle very much at all. Now, if you hold a taut strop about like that, as that razor passes over, you get more of a steeper edge, more rounding going on. I was holding it not tight, not taut. I was holding it kind of relaxed like that, right? So it would give a little bit more of an edge angle there to steepen that edge angle up a little bit more. Went ahead and shaved this morning and got a really good shave out of it. So then I got to thinking about it, and I thought, wow, why on earth would the factory make a blade that you had to use 8 layers of tape on? So then I got to thinking about it even more, and I thought, I remember that spine being a little on the narrow side. So I grabbed a gold dollar straight razor, and it's about the same size, right? So these are both about 6/8, okay, meaning they're about 6/8 of an inch wide from the spine to the cutting edge. Now, if you look at the spine thicknesses, you'll see a huge difference here. So now when I make a straight razor, my kind of base geometry is if the razor is 1 inch wide, which would be an 8/8, I want a 1/4 inch of spine thickness. Okay, now that's to start off with. Now, generally speaking, I forge my straight razors, so if it's 1 inch wide when I start off and a 1/4 inch thick minimum, okay, then where the hone marks are going to be is going to be about 1/8 of an inch inside, the actual spine. And then by the time I end up grinding the razor, bringing a burr, all that kind of stuff, it's going to narrow it up a little bit. So I'm shooting for a 1/4 inch thick at the spine and maybe 7/8 of an inch wide. All right, so that's kind of your basic geometry. This one, the gold dollar here, we are at 230 thousandths, so a little bit under a 1/4 inch thick, and we're at 860 thousandths or so. So yeah, 6/8, 7/8, somewhere around there. This Pakistan one, we are at 174 thousandths thick for that same 6/8 or 7/8, which means that pretty much this straight razor right from the factory has got an edge geometry that steel cannot support a shaving edge. All right, once I added 8 layers of tape to the back of it, I thickened up the spine to about that 1/4 inch thick level, which gave me a much steeper edge angle, and now that steel at that hardness can support that edge at least for one shave. And the shave at the end of the shave was feeling comparable to at the beginning of the shave, so I'm pretty sure that steel can support that sort of an edge angle. So that's something to bear in mind. If you end up with one of these, soft stainless steel razors, and you're just having a heck of a time getting a usable edge out of the thing, try those two tricks. Instead of 1 or 2 layers of tape on the spine, keep adding layers of tape until you thicken that edge angle up enough to where that edge is strong enough to be able to support the edge to be able to shave. And run your strop a little bit looser so that you get a steeper convexity going on in that edge from the strop. And I'm kind of wondering if if these razors might not be a whole lot better than what they might be getting credit for. Like I said, I'm not too sure why on earth that they would run that lean a geometry. I mean, I would hesitate to run that lean of a geometry even on my custom steel at a 1095 W1 or 52-100. Just for the simple fact that that's kind of the standard. 1 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick stock is, thereabouts the same type of angle that you need. Yeah, with harder, finer grained steel, you can run a lower edge angle, but then you start running into comfort issues with that edge on your face. So I tend to stay pretty much around that 1/4 inch to 1 ratio. Yeah, and with some tape and some loose stropping, you can get this pretty close. So if you've got one of these and you tried it out and it didn't work the way you wanted it to, and so you tossed it in a drawer somewhere and you hadn't played around with it, pull the thing out, tape the heck out of the spine, run a looser strop, and see how it does. I was really surprised with this one, and you might be with yours. So now the fun thing is that I got to get this back to his buddy so that he can go ahead and shave with his dad's straight razor. Yeah. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.